All right, Season 3 Marvel Rivals tier list. As usual, I'm going to try to keep it pretty objective, not just base it off of, Celestial Plus, not just base it off of, what the pros are doing, but try to consider the lower ranks and stuff like that. I also want to kind of mention, in one of my previous videos, I did like a tier list based on like who's worth banning this season. And I will say what could be worth banning doesn't necessarily mean that a character is broken, right? So that tier list and this one are not going to go hand in hand. Like in that one, I put BP as like a must ban this season. I'll get to that when I get there, but we're just gonna jump right into this. I'm gonna put Hulk in A tier. And the reason I'm putting him in A tier is just because even though he himself isn't really that strong, with Mag being just a staple in the game, Mag Bubble plus Hulk Bubble is really, really annoying. And let's say you're running against a team that has like really heavy sustain, like they have really good heals, they have a semi-tanky DPS that can dish out damage like Bucky, and then you've got something like a Hulk and a Magneto. It's just impossible to kill them sometimes. They've got crazy overshield. When Mag Bubble's on cooldown, Hulk Bubble is constantly, cycling through. He's jumping into the back line to help any divers. He's jumping onto his supports to bubble them when your team is diving. He just makes it really hard to get the job done when paired with Mag, on top of the fact that he's got the team up with Namor in itself is really strong, especially because Namor just got buffed. You could argue that he's B tier, maybe across the board though. I would say like in higher play, he could be argued as A, but I think across the board, like low elo and such, maybe we'll put him in B tier instead. Strange. Strange, I'm gonna have above Hulk in B tier. I think that Strange is good, but I think there's just too much in the game that counters him right now. Emma Grab, the Thing, any brawler, anything that can hit through shield. Wolverine is a hard counter to him. Mr. Fantastic, Thor, Magic is a counter to him. Punisher can just break his shield constantly. I honestly think he's good, but there's too much in the game that can just shut him down. And the only reason I would say is even in B tier is because the only reason he's relevant right now in the current metas is because of his portal. His portal is just, everyone uses it to get the point or to try and make plays to save a game. It's just so strong of an ability that it keeps him kind of high up on the list. Emma, S tier. I think even with the nerfs, Emma is still extremely strong. She just shuts down so many characters with her grab. She shuts down Magic ult, Bucky ult, like you just grab them and they can't do anything. Her ultimate in itself, you can make it so the enemy team can't use their ults. They're in line of sight. She's really strong. She has insane combo potential with grabs, Wolf grab, Emma grab, Bucky grab, Emma grab, and it's just hard CC that makes it to where they can't move for like 6 seconds and then they're dead. Super annoying, but yeah, she's still really strong. On to Captain America. Cap, I'm gonna put in B. I feel like you could argue A. I'm gonna put him in A just because I would say I would rather have a great Captain America than a great Hulk right now, just in rank, like GM Celestial, just because of his ultimate. His ultimate is great sustain. I think his ult is better than Hulk's. Hulk's is like a stalling, like he's hard to kill, he knocks you around. Caps can actually help you live through other ultimates. He can survive your supports or whoever he runs over through Psylocke ult. He can survive through Jeff Nato, Storm and Jeff, until they get swallowed, of course. He just has a really good ultimate for team sustain, and a good cap can have a lot of value. Of course, a bad cap is going to be F tier, but I think even in the metal ranks like bronze, silver, gold, even as much as he might be just like a pestering fly, he's still pretty strong because he's so annoying. Magneto, there's no arguing it. Magneto is the best tank in the game. He is the bread and butter of just every 2-2-2 comp, and if you want a solo tank, he is the only tank in the game that can competently solo tank. And the reason for that is because, like, ideally, if you're tanking on Magneto, you would want to save your bubble to like enable teammates and stuff like that. But if you're solo tanking on Magneto, you can just use your bubble for yourself, right? If no one else is going to pick up that second tank job and you need to survive better, bubbling your teammates, you just bubble yourself. He's got a shield, negates all damage. He does great damage himself. He's got a great counter ultimate that can just counter so many heroes in the game. Counter Hela, counter Punisher, counter Cloak and Dagger, counter Hawkeye, counter Torch, counter Iron Man. It's actually insane. When you do use his bubble to not use on yourself but on teammates, he's a great enabler. He can enable Scarlet Witch, he can enable Punisher, he can enable Cloak, he can enable Star-Lord. Just, it's crazy. Best tank in the game by far, no arguing it at all. Venom, I think this season is like low-key cooked. He has no damage mitigation like a shield. Let's put it into perspective. perspective, I'm a Phoenix player. I have Lord on Phoenix in just like 23 hours. In just over a week, I got her Lord. I love playing against Venom players because they are in and out of the fight so fast with her melee animation combo. But for heroes like Hulk, even Strange and Mag, while you may be able to melee through Strange and Mag shield, you can't melee through Hulk bubble or through Cap shield. At least I'm pretty sure about Cap. Venom has none of that. Venom has absolutely none of that. He has no damage mitigation. All he does is extra bonus health to keep him in and be a little pestering fly a little longer. I would even say you could argue that he's C tier, depending on the rank, but overall I definitely think he's B, just weaker than Hulk and Strange because he's just too easy to punish. Between Phoenix, Emma, Iron Fist, Wolverine, Punisher, Bucky, like even Hawkeye, you know, if you got a Hawkeye who can hit headshots, I mean, he can pop that E and get that extra shield, but if you're doing, you know, 200 plus damage on a hit, it's not really going to do much. I just don't think he's that strong. On to Thor. I think Thor, okay, I've played with some good Thor players, don't get me wrong, but I think unless you're banning Punisher Emma, he's D tier. I don't think Thor is that oppressive. Obviously, a good Thor is kind of scary, but when he's in his awakened form, he has no mobility. You just disengage from any fight, you just ignore him or run away, and he has to cancel his awakened form or just sit there doing damage to nothing, shooting into walls, hoping you repeat the corner. I don't think he can work, obviously, in ranked. Like, he can work. We've seen it. But I think in comparison, he's not that great. He's fairly weak, especially in comparison to the Thing. Honestly, I would even argue to be, I would even say could be S tier this season. He actually is insane with the changes they made to his right click and his E, which is now has an extra ability, his F, where he can leap to enemies. He can completely skip front lines. If you spot a support, F to them, instantly ult. You don't even have to hit the tanks, but you're ulting from the back line. So you could ult from behind the support and then hit the tanks, no mag bubble. So it's almost like a guarantee you get both. His right click stops all movement abilities. It knocks down flyers. It interrupts BP's dashes. At least so I've been told, but I know for sure that it's knocking down flyers. So if it's stopping any kind of movement, even when I'm on Gene, if I'm like in the air flying and he hits me, I get knocked down. So it's just strong. He's super strong. He's really annoying. I think he's low-key kind of broken right now, but you know who's not broken? Penny Parker. I would kind of say in general, she could be C. She's definitely not the worst tank in the game anymore, especially with the Rocket team up. I think she's a niche pick. A lot of people say, oh, Penny's really good. Look at her win rate. Yes, win rates are going to be inflated by low pick rates. Penny has a really, really low pick rate, and the people that are picking her at the top level have her down to a T. They can make it work, but the average person cannot. Granted, I think the average person can make her work on certain maps. The Venom Clintar map, the Convergence map, not the Domination, the Convergence. That first point is fucking so annoying to take when you're going against a Penny player. Same thing with the Empire Knight Castle building on that first point with like the bridge, and then it's like the hexagon in the middle. That with a Penny player is like there's, it's just such a tight choke with tight ass corners. It's like almost impossible unless you have any kind of flyer or movement characters that can go right side and just like kind of go across over the map, cut over. But that's really risky because if your whole team's not doing that, you just get so low focus. But yeah, on certain maps, she's really strong. But in general, I would take a Venom over a Penny. Groot's A tier. He's good. There's a lot of counters in the game. I think right now he's being a little underused. I wouldn't say that he's a sleeper pick, but with the Wolf team up and how much Wolf has been banned this season, other than Squirrel Girl and Bucky, you don't really have a whole lot to take care of Groot. Groot walls are super, you know, just as annoying to shoot as they always have. But, you know, other than Squirrel Girl, Punisher, and Bucky, you don't really have a lot counter his walls. Bucky for the pull, kind of like a Wolf kidnap, but I think he's good still. I just feel like a lot of people are kind of tired of his hitbox and the fact that he's a bullet sponge, because if you're not playing against a good Groot who doesn't manage his wall cooldowns correctly, he is kind of easy to punish. He just soaks up damage and it's free ult charge for the enemy team, but he's still, you know, he's still really good. Okay, so that's it for the tanks. Now we're on to the supports. Adam Warlock. Dude, I think Adam Warlock's trash. They nerfed out of the team up with Star-Lord and Mantis. They increased the cooldown on it. I think I would take any other support. I would take a Mantis as a second or a third support before I took an Adam, especially with her buffs. Please get Adams out of my game. I like, as a third support, he's okay. If I were gonna run third support, I would rather have Ultron. Hell, even Mantis. So yeah, he's okay. Sorry to all the Adam players, but he's not it this season. Luna Snow, S tier. I mean, is it even like an argument? Is it even a question? I don't think she's the best support in the game by far, but she's definitely S tier. She just has an insane ultimate. She has 275 HP instead of 250, right? I think her and Invisible Woman are the only supports in the game with 275 HP, right? So automatically she has more sustainability in comparison because she can take a little bit more damage. She has decent self-healing. It's not even a debate. Cloak and Dagger, I also think is S tier. You guys are kind of might roast me with some of these support takes, but I think she was a sleeper pick for a while, especially with, you know, Mag being as common of a pick as he has been. But I think Cloak players are finally starting to figure out how to path their ultimate and communicate to their own Magnetos or their team to save them from Mag ult. Now with that, they're able to live longer. They can make better use of their kits. Their ultimates aren't completely negated. In general, she's pretty strong against dive, right? You can throw your blind and make them vulnerable, get them to run away. She can cloak her team. She's S tier. It's not a question. So is Invisible Woman. Invisible Woman is, dude, low-key, I think Invisible Woman is the most fun support to play. I think she has a really high skill ceiling. Her shield is really great. She has great healing and great damage. She can knock flyers out of the air. I think she's a little more fun to play than Luna. In fact, I think that she's better than Luna. I would take a good Invisible Woman over a good Luna. When you go invisible, you can't be targeted by auto aim ults like Star-Lord. You self-heal. You can ult and jump out and then be, you know, invisible from anyone trying to kill you in your ult. You can just walk out of it and let your team sustain themselves while you just stay invisible. But yeah, she's really strong and definitely a lot stronger than Jeff, though I will say I would rather take a Lord Jeff, a really good Jeff, over an Adam Warlock. Don't get me wrong, Jeff is trash, and I think even though he fits better in the game than he did before, he might have a less fun playstyle. Sorry, Jeff players. Fun, I guess. But because of the way he plays now, you know, he does okay healing. He can't go underground for as long, so his survivability for himself isn't that great. In general, I think that he's okay, but I would take it over an Adam. But I still think that he's like, I don't think he's that good. I guess you could argue that he's C tier, but I'm gonna put him in D because I think I'm gonna put somebody else in C tier. Loki is by far the best support in the game. I don't even think anyone could argue with me on that. He has the best survivability out of all the supports, with, even though they increase the cooldown on it, what is it, like 30 seconds? That's really not that long. He can escape really well, keep his team up. He does insane burst healing. They nerfed his ult charge cost. He used to charge ult insanely fast, and now it's not as fast. But I think this character and his skill ceiling, as high as it goes, no matter on the low ranks or the high ranks, Loki, I feel like a good Loki dominates. Obviously, a good Loki in bronze doesn't even come close to a good Loki in, you know, celestial. But what could be considered a good Loki in bronze, people in that rank definitely aren't shooting penny nests. So what makes you think they're shooting Loki clones? It's free value. Your clones are always up. You're always able to get consistent healing as long as you position yourself properly. So yeah, I think it's like not even close. Mantis, I think you could argue Mantis is B tier. She does, I think, a little more healing now, but she's still kind of like meh. She only works in triple support even now still, and with that, I feel like you have to put her B tier. Rocket, I'm gonna put Rocket in C tier. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Mantis is better than Rocket in any way. What I'm saying is that Mantis in triple support at any rank is B tier. I think Rocket in triple support is less than Mantis, and the reason for this is because of Phoenix. It is solely because of Phoenix and how much she's being run right now. Phoenix hard counters Rocket, and it's not even close. She destroys his ultimate. She destroys his res beacon, which is like his entire kit. Without either of those things, bro is useless. So I feel like if you ban Phoenix, he's B tier above Mantis. If Phoenix is in the game, he's C tier. Get off of Rocket if Phoenix is on the enemy team. It is not worth it. You, at that point, might as well play Jeff or Adam, because neither of these guys have healing support ultimates like Rocket does. But if there's a Phoenix on the other team, you might as well not have a support ult, because she's gonna hold it and she's gonna save it for yours. Now for Ultron, I think Ultron is A tier. He is like, even though he got nerfed in triple support, annoying as to be able to shield himself and allies, and then on top of that, usually that's paired with an Invisible Woman who is also shielding the Ultron, stopping him from taking damage. It's just, he is so hard to kill, and mechanically, if you have a teammate who has really good movement and cooldown usage on top of good aim, dude, Ultron will run your lobby. It doesn't even matter. And I mean, even if you don't have good aim, like in the lower ranks in bronze and silver, right? And Ultron might not have good aim, but guess what? Neither does the enemy team. So it kind of cancels out. And at that point, he's still really hard to kill and still is A tier. Ultron is really good, which I hate to say, because when he came out, I hated having him on my team, but I think now people have finally kind of figured out how to play him. Now on to the DPS. Mr. Fantastic, I think is C tier. He has good sustainability. lobby. And I think whether you're playing against a good or a bad fantastic, as long as they're not running at your backline and feeding, he's pretty annoying to deal with, especially if they already have 2 tanks, or if they have great sustain like double support with any of these, or a triple support. He's really hard to kill. He does a decent amount of damage. His ult does a pretty significant amount of damage now, especially with the spell field. The spell field also raises high as shit. I've been on Phoenix or a flyer and flew up over him while he's ulting, and when he slams at the ground, that thing doesn't just do an AoE on a wide outspread. It goes up too, and it still kills me when I fly over him, and it pisses me off. I think it's a little ridiculous, but yeah, he's B tier. Black Panther. I'm like, do I put him in A or B? Black Panther is really good, really easy to counter in the high ranks. Black Panther is like really good now, especially after whatever fixes they did to him. I guess that he still gets hit regs, but they increase, I think, the range of his spell field or his dashes or something like that. So you might no hit reg on somebody, but if you're in a cluster of people, you're gonna hit somebody. Whatever they did to him, he came out of the woodworks at the end of last season, and a good Black Panther, no matter what, is running my lobbies. I think in the high ranks, Celestial Plus, if you have 2 really good supports that know how to patty cake and have a brain and ears, he's not really gonna get a lot done. Luna and Invis especially hard counter him because they have 275 HP. Throw Invis shield up and patty cake each other like he's not killing anything. That being said, from Grandmaster and below, a good Black Panther, you know, might run a lobby. So I'm gonna level him out, put him in B tier, just because, like, yeah, he's really strong and he's really annoying. And for this season, I wanted to touch on in my last video, for this season, I put him as a must ban. The only reason I have him at a must ban is because, I mean, as somebody who plays like tank and DPS and flexes support, I don't trust my teammates to be able to handle a good Black Panther. I don't trust him. I would rather not deal with him at all and just deal with something else that I feel like I can control. Because if I feel like no matter what, if I swap to Thing, or if I swap to something that can peel for Black Panther, if my supports still can't position and patty cake and keep each other alive long enough for me to peel, like, I can't just sit on their asses all game. Peeling is called going from front to back, right? Or from off angle to back to help. And I can't just sit on them and wait for him to make his approach, because at that point I might as well just sit and spawn. It's a 5v6 at that point. You know what I mean? I would rather him just not be in the game. I don't want to deal with him. I don't want my supports to have to deal with him. And I feel like generally that's the consensus from most of the support players that I play with too, because they all recommend, or they all request, that we ban VP. Black Widow. Black Widow, I think, is a little underrated. I don't think that she's A tier, but definitely see her as B tier. She does a good amount of damage. Pair her with Mantis or any kind of damage amp, she is one-shotting supports. And then, but the real kicker is that she's actually good against dive. You cannot melee dive this hero no matter who you are. You will get kicked and stun locked and instant headshotted. And if you have teammates who have ears and like awareness, Widow's not the only person shooting you. You are getting fully focused by the entire team. I think it's kind of crazy that a long range hero can play from long range and get headshots and do crazy damage, but then also just run at you. No matter who you're on, if you're Black Panther, Spider-Man, Iron Fist, Magic, can literally just run at you and get away with it. I don't know. It's kind of ridiculous. Obviously B tier, because the lower ranks mechanically aren't that good, but like high ranks, like a good Widow, running lobbies. I would say probably even broken. Hawkeye. And Hawkeye kind of fell off, right? They nerfed that team up with Luna, and I low-key think that he's like worse than BP and Widow even. Hawkeye is like, I don't know, like the freeze team up was only good because it lasted long enough for him to get a headshot. Now he can't. And I'm seeing a lot less of him with the release of season 3. I've been seeing a lot less of him. So I would say that he's C tier. He's still good. You know what I mean? Like a good Hawkeye is who can hit headshots and position well, is gonna have impact. But I would say that in general, he's just lacking. Hella's just always broken. She can 2-tap from any range, no damage fall off. She has a great stun, especially with the Venom team up. Pretty much guaranteed kill. She has a good ultimate. She also has iframe. If you don't know what that is, it's just invisibility frames. She can bird out and you can't hit her when she's in her bird. It's just, she has always been S tier, and she probably will always be S tier unless they nerf out of her. Human Torch. Human Torch is really good. They buffed him this season, and he's kind of like now in a middle ground to like where he was when he was extremely broken in a must ban, after they nerfed him where he was like, you know, not even really worth playing anymore. I feel like they kind of leveled him out, and he's pretty strong again. He's not broken like Hella, but I would say that he definitely is an S tier. He's great at zoning. He does good damage. He has a good ultimate that can kill 2 support ults with focus fire, and if they stand still. So definitely A tier. Iron Fist, C tier. Maybe even D tier. Dude, Iron Fist is bad now. They nerfed this boy. Like Loki, I don't think that he's the worst DPS in the game, but he's like significantly weaker than it was. They gutted him. I haven't seen a lot of Iron Fist in my game, but usually when I do, they usually end up swapping. Iron Man. Iron Man, I think, is also C tier, just for across the board. Like in low ranks, you know, obviously people are like not aware enough to like look up and shoot, and they don't have the aim to really deal with him. Actually, you know what? Because of that reason, I'm gonna end up putting him him in B tier because it levels out a little more. In the high ranks, I think it is a little bit easier to deal with them. There's so many hit scans in the game. You got Jean, Hela, Punisher, and I feel like it's pretty easy to shut an Iron Man down. In the lower ranks, you know, you don't have the awareness and he's constantly getting ults off. He just flies up behind your team and just maximum pulses your ass and you're like, what the hell? He's good, but he's not like insanely broken. Magic. I think Magic, I would take a good Iron Man over a good Magic. Only because Iron Man can counter support ults. Magic is like, she has one good combo in her ult where she can insta-kill squishies and supports through their ultimates by just charging her right click and then after releasing insta-dashing. It does enough damage to kill even Cloak out of her ult. But that's really hard tech to land. And with Emma in the game and Thing, hell, even Jean, I feel like she's just not as strong. As the game progresses, I feel like she's just falling off harder and harder. And the only people that make her work are the people who have put in the time on her, typically are like Celestial, Eternity Plus. Lower than that, she's like, I don't know. I feel like she takes a lot of mechanical skill. Anybody from like gold and lower just don't have the mechanical skill to really do anything with her. Like she's pretty difficult to play. Moon Knight. Moon Knight is B tier. He's like low B tier though. You could argue he's C, like high C, but I would say he's low B just because his ult is pretty good at countering like supports and stuff like that. If you can get people stuck in a spot, the ult will kill through Cloak ult. It can kill through invisible. I've seen it kill Luna's if she stands still and she's stupid. But yeah, he's great into Loki as well. So he has decent gameplay there. In general, he's pretty easy to counter. He has low mobility. People will say like, oh, you got your double jump and your grapple. And it's like, yeah, but you're really slow and you're still really easy to target. Like, let's say, I don't know, you're on like Psylocke. If Moon Knight tries to get away, she still has decent range and she can just dash at your ass while you're up in the air. Any hit scan can take care of him pretty easily. In general, he's pretty weak against flyers as well. Even if you have good aim, the flyer's playing too far from the ground and you can't get bounces with your primary, you can just throw your onks at walls, I guess. But yeah, B tier. Namor is like really strong this season. That buff with his projectiles and the damage, I definitely think he's A tier. Pair it with the team up with the Hulk, definitely A tier. He is really strong this season and really annoying to deal with. Jean Grey, low key. Listen, I'm a little biased. I want to say S tier. You could argue high A. The reason I want to say S right now is because she charges ult insanely fast. I seen a clip where she charged ultimate in 10 seconds in just group bursts. And the best way to do that is like, let's say you have a Luna and they have a Luna and both your Luna's ults. At that point, it's a standstill. So what are you doing? Even if they have shield tanks, you are primary clicking, meleeing, and then you're using your E to go into flight and you're just continuously like animation canceling and just rotating, doing a ton of damage and causing a ton of sparks and explosions. And then you pair that with your right click and you get stuns off. It's so many explosions and your ult charges so fast, which is good because you can combo with Luna with damage jam, kill through support ults. You can counter Rocket, you can counter Hela, you can counter Penny, you can counter Venom. When a Venom gets low and he's like trying to stall and it's like, we are Venom, and like he gets bonus HP off of whoever he hits, but the bonus HP is tacked onto the health that he has. So he doesn't get health and then bonus HP. He just gets bonus HP. Phoenix ult completely negates all bonus HP. So if you ult a Venom after he ults, he insta dies, which is crazy. It's the same thing for Cap too. When Cap ults, he gets bonus health, and if he goes untouched long enough, that bonus health turns into actual health and he regens. But if your team is constantly doing damage and he was low when he popped it to begin with, if you Phoenix ult, he's dead. Yeah, she's really strong. She destroys Groot walls, Penny Nest mines. She destroys Emma's shield because it's a summon. Yeah, I definitely see her getting nerfed, but she's been very fun to play. Dude, Psylocke, I feel like even though she's been nerfed a lot, Psylocke is still really, really strong. You could argue high A. I definitely think the difference between an A and an S Psylocke is just like mechanical skill, but I think even in the lower lobbies, Psylocks are really hard to deal with. Even in the metal ranks, you can go invisible. She's untargetable by Star-Lord by going invisible. She still does really good damage. Team up with Emma is really strong. She does basically extra damage once you pop it. You can get insta kills with your combos. Yeah, overall, she's really strong. Scarlet Witch, F. By far, no, I'm just kidding. You could argue C, I guess, maybe D. In the lower ranks, I'm sure people hate Wanda because guess what? In the lower ranks, they can't aim. No one can aim. She bails people out on that because she has auto aim. She has a really strong ultimate. They did just buff her ultimate. It does more damage, and I think it has not a longer range, but they increased her mobility. With that being said, it's still really hard to land, and it takes coordination from your team to make sure that you don't die because you're an easy target once you ult. It's also really easy to avoid because for half the time in her ultimate, she's behind a wall. So you just walk backwards and she can't get close enough to you. In general, she's pretty weak. In the higher ranks, you're not really going to find a Wanda that's like running a lobby, but in the lower ranks, I can see, you know, people are having a hard time against her. And you know, it's the same thing with Spider-Man, especially right now. I would say that Spider-Man definitely, I would take a good Spidey over Wanda. Hell, I would take a good Spidey. Nah, I would take a good Magic over a good Spidey. Spider-Man is like like so mechanically challenging to play no matter what rank you're at, because even though mechanically you got good at the hero, as you climb, everybody else got good too. And then they also got smarter, which means that they got good at knowing how to deal with you better. Any hit scan is free against Spidey. Hela does so much damage. Punisher does so much damage. When Spideys are like making their approach and they're up in the air and they're just sitting like this right before they web and they come at you super fast, that's like a free couple seconds where you can just turn around and take a couple pop shots, get a headshot, and boom, he's half HP. Now all of a sudden his approach is much more dangerous because he has a higher potential of dying. I also think with Phoenix in the game right now, she is a hard counter to him, because once you get stacks on him, the closer you get, the easier it is for her to hit. If you try to 1v1 a good Jean Grey, you're gonna lose, especially with that animation cancel combo. You're just gonna get exploded and obliterated. Squirrel Girl. Dude, Squirrel Girl is really strong this season. I think she's high B just because of her simplicity to play and how much damage she does. In like Celestial, like Low Eternity, even high GM, when you're going up against a team that has like really high sustain and you feel like you need more damage, swapping to a third DPS or just second DPS swapping to Squirrel Girl is like almost a free solution every single time, because she just does so much damage. She deletes shields and her ultimate can't be blocked by shields either. So it's just free running through the entire team. And then on the lower ranks, you know what I mean? People don't know how to position properly, so they just like stand in the same spot and then they wonder why they're dead in 2 seconds because the Squirrel Girl acorn hit them twice. Yeah, she's really strong. Star-Lord is like okay. I think he's better than Spidey. He might be. I would take a good magic over a Hawkeye. I don't know. He fell off. There's so many better characters now. He used to be really strong because of how far fast he could farm ult charge, but now I feel like his impact has dropped a lot. Even when he's like in your face in the middle of a fight and stuff like that, his iframes, like his dash, like people know not to shoot him anymore, and then they just wait for him to come out of his dash. If they hit him, he takes a lot of damage. If he anticipates it, then he just uses his second dash, which means that he doesn't have any left and he has to leave because he has no escape tools anymore. So he's just really easy to anticipate and take care of, and he's just not a threat like he was. Storm is A tier. I think the team up with Jeff, even though it's not being ran as much anymore, is still really good. Really good. She also does great damage herself and applies really good damage amp to the team. If you have high burst damage heroes like Hela and Squirrel Girl, or even like Mr. Fantastic or Psylocke, like people who are kind of playing like close or off angles near Storm, it's scary, man. Especially like Squirrel Girl, they're doing so much more damage than they normally would. So much more damage, and you can feel it. You can feel it because of Storm. That being said, Storm, I think, is definitely not S this meta because, one, she's not being played as much. Two, Jean hard counters her. Hard counters. Even with Jeff NATO, it's not enough. Jean ult will full kill Storm. So here's the thing about Storm. She's 250 HP. When she ults, she gets bonus health. Phoenix ult completely negates that bonus health. She also doesn't move, like she moves decently fast, but it's really easy to get a direct hit on Storm in her ultimate because I'm pretty sure her hitbox increases. When you Storm ult on top of somebody, 250 HP hero will insta-die. Storm, the bonus health net's negated and she insta-dies. Even with Jeff. I've killed Jeff NATOs and Storms and they instantly swap off when I'm on Jean. It is hilarious. Though she is strong, she has a hard counter that's very popular in the game right now. So I would say that she's A tier. Punisher. I also want to say he's A tier just because, you know, his ultimate does insane amount of damage. In the lower ranks, people don't know how to protect him or protect people from him. Sure, mags don't know that they have to ult instantly and then throw it at him instantly to kill him. In the higher ranks, mags do know that, but then at the higher ranks, you know, you also have your own Magneto that just bubbles you and then you live. Or you have a rocket ult that gives you bonus HP and you live. So yeah, overall, you know, he is pretty strong. He does a lot of damage. I don't think he's S tier by any means because he is pretty easy to counter and he's very weak against like dive heroes like Captain America, but he has his place in the game and he does a lot of damage. Bucky. I think Bucky low-key is, I think he's better than, he's kind of like a sleeper pick right now. Like I'm seeing him more often now, but he's always just been really good. There was at one point in the game where he was banned like every game because no one wanted to deal with him. I think even still now, he's really strong. I don't even think he's weaker that much than he was when he was getting banned. I just think people have figured out how to play around him a little more. I do want to say, I think a good Bucky is scarier than like a good Psylocke, just because he does so much damage and his ult is terrifying. In the metal ranks, he's probably a menace. In the high ranks, a good Bucky is definitely a menace. I don't think it matters like what you're running. Even if you swap off Loki, even if you swap off Groot, even if you have an Enma that can grab him in his ultimate, a good Bucky is just, he knows exactly when to ult when someone's low. He always gets his first reset, and it's just, it puts your team at a disadvantage, and it's terrifying. It's not fun to deal with. On top of the fact that I don't know why, but they gave his E, like the red thing that he shoots, they gave him 2 charges. I don't know why, but that slow is really, really strong. Like it's impossible to get away. So freaking annoying. It gives him ammo reset, and he's got 2 of them on top of a hook and a dash. Low-key, I think that he's broken and he needs to be nerfed like severely because he's just insane, but that's just me. Wolverine, definitely A tier. I think that he's better than Jean just because he's extremely strong even without the team up. With the team up, he's an absolute menace. With the team up, he's better than Hela. Like Wolverine is scarier than Hela with it. I think even without it though, he's a tank buster, bro. You would think that Thing counters Wolverine as long as the Thing isn't the only tank. A good Wolverine player will tell you, even though you can't get away, if he rushes into your team, it's just free ult charge. You're just spamming melee on him, and you're just building that ult charge up insanely fast. Emma, you think diamond form, right? Nah, a good Wolverine waits for diamond form to be up and then will kidnap your ass so you have no escape to it. It's so annoying. Obviously, he counters Groot really well. Any dive tank is gonna want to ban him because regardless team up or not, he counters Hulk, he counters Venom, he counters Strange, he counters Captain America. Even with the bubble, you wait for bubble out, he counters Mag. He's just, every tank hates Wolverine. Every tank player hates Wolverine. Doesn't matter what you're running, Wolverine is annoying. I moved my camera down just so you can see Goon Knight, but this is my tier list. It's all opinion based. It's all objective. Don't take it to heart. You know, you can think that I'm stupid. You can think I'm brain dead. You can think I'm low elo, which I'm not. I promise I'm not. I'm pretty decent at the game, but this is just where I think everyone is kind of sitting right now, and it's probably about to change drastically with the release of Blade and when season 3.5 comes out in 2 weeks. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment down below and just, you know, tell me if you agree or disagree, if you think certain heroes are in the wrong tier. I would love to chat with you guys and see why you think that. But with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.